AITA for not punishing my son for making fun of his sister for wetting her pants. AITA for moving into a studio apartment away from my mother-in-law who moved in.
Oh, shoot. I'm on a scoot.
Hello. AITA for losing my temper over bone broth being added to a soup. My girlfriend, A, 24 female, and I, 23 male, are ovo-lacto-vegetarian and have been for approximately 6 months or so because she developed a sudden involuntary negative reaction to meat and some animal products. At best, she'll spit out the offending bite and rinse her mouth out, and at worst, she'll get sick almost immediately. She's gone to her primary care and is seeing a therapist, but we have yet to know why she reacts this way. Any meat, from mammal to poultry to fish, triggers this reaction in her if she consumes it. Even sufficiently meaty vegan products that imitate the taste and texture of meat too well can set it off in her.
You tell your boyfriend if he says he's got beef that I'm a vegetarian and I ain't scared of him.
I opted to cut meat out of my diet as well, considering I do most of the cooking and it's easier to make us both the same meals rather than worry about cross-contamination. I've grown to prefer some of the meatless alternatives of our normal fare, and seeing her unabashedly enjoy my food makes me feel warm and content. Cutie patootie stuff. One of the worst ingredients that triggers a reaction in her is bone broth. I used to drink and cook with it beforehand, but nowadays I use mushroom broth and I don't notice much of a difference except when shopping, as it tends to be in stock at my local grocer, even when the meat alternatives aren't. Sometimes I even switch out instant ramen seasoning for mushroom here we go, new word for me. Mushroom bouillon base with dried veggies if I'm feeling lazy and want something quick.
She wants to touch me, whoa. She wants to love me, whoa.
33 years old with a journalism major and I'm still learning new words. That sucks for me. We have a shared friend, B, 24 male, who invites us and a few others, including C, 23 male, over occasionally for dinner and a hangout. He's a much better cook than I am, and he invited us over group chat recently, even offering to send a few recipes he had been considering by making us make sure he could accommodate. A and I looked over the recipe B sent, and a minestrone recipe caught our eye, especially because it's been soup weather and I hadn't had a proper minestrone in ages. We told him what we thought, and he admitted it's what he would have chosen too. He sent a time and date to the group chat and all seemed well. The day rolls around and we arrive a little later than everyone else. We get settled in and we serve ourselves some soup before sitting at the table. A only had a single spoonful before immediately making a beeline for the bathroom. As soon as the bathroom door slams shut, C shrunk in his seat and admitted to adding bone broth to the minestrone while B was greeting us, and he felt it needed the flavor and didn't think A was really vegetarian.
This kind of behavior would upset the VeggieTales twice!
This is where I may be the asshole. I laid into C, calling him, among other things, a f***ing idiot for tampering with food someone else made and a piece of shit for doing it, knowing full well it was supposed to be vegetarian and making my girlfriend sick. I told him I never wanted to see his face again and left for home with A as soon as she got out of the bathroom and had rinsed her mouth out. Now the group chat is in shambles. A says she appreciates me standing up for her but feels bad for causing a scene. AITA. Well, first of all, if you're new here, please gently press the subscribe button. We read a lot of AITA Reddit stories on this channel, and I try to decide who the red flag in the story is by, running around and acting like a buffoon at a public park with a red flag. Now, my thoughts on this story. Crazy behavior warrants crazy reactions. You guys have no idea what's going on with your girlfriend. It could be mental, sure, but it could also be very, very serious. And your friend is dismissing it and honestly being a big baby about it. I could see him just pitching a fit. Just, I need animals in my soup. It needs to have otter clavicle in it. So no, he's a terrible friend, and it's noble of you to stick up for your loved one. So verdict, you are not the a-hole. Speaking of reducing meat consumption, this video is sponsored by Beyond Meat. AITA for embarrassing my husband at a barbecue. 3 months ago, I went vegetarian after my doctor suggested it for my high cholesterol issues. My husband Mike initially seemed supportive, but this past weekend we hosted a barbecue for our friends, and he and a couple of his friends kept jokingly calling their dinner real food. I quietly made my own veggie burgers for myself and my 2 friends, but one of Mike's buddies tried one and genuinely liked it. Before long, several of his friends asked to try them too, so I ended up making more. After everyone left, Mike accused me of deliberately trying to embarrass him because his friends liked my burgers more than his burgers. Now he's barely speaking to me. I don't feel like I intentionally tried to embarrass him, but I could see how he might think that. AITA here. Well, first off, not only is Mike a gargantuan immature jerk, but I don't think he really understands how plant-based meat works. A lot of people don't. They think it's like ultra-processed or, stuffed with chemicals, which is Not true. I eat Beyond Meat products, and they're made with clean, simple ingredients like peas, red lentils, avocado oil, and it's made through a very simple process that's pretty similar to how we make pasta. Are plant-based burgers better for you than, say, meat burgers? Well, they usually come with as much protein, less saturated fat, more fiber, and they're always free of cholesterol, antibiotics, and hormones. But you can make up your own mind there. If you want to support the channel and learn more about Beyond Meat, you can scan the QR code that's on screen here, or you can visit the link in the video description. All right, next story. AITA for not punishing my son for making fun of his sister for wetting her pants. Oh, so you want to start off on your back foot. Okay. My husband, 40 male, and I, 38 female, have 2 amazing kids, 10 male and 7 female. Our son's birthday was a couple of days ago, and the gift he was most excited to receive was the video game Dying Light. Nuh-uh. He'd heard about it from a friend and was really excited to try it out. It's a video game about zombies, and he loves anything zombie-related. Okay, for those who don't game, let me just explain this. Dying Light is a video game about zombies, as she said, and it's rated N for mature. Why? Because not only is the game incredibly graphic, but the zombies themselves are terrifying, and they jump out at you, and they try to scare you. It's the kind of game that you see a lot of streamers play, like grown men and women, because they know that their screams of terror is going to be very, very entertaining for their audience. So she's letting her 10-year-old play this, a game that scares adults. Today he was playing the game in our living room when his sister came downstairs, and unfortunately she walked in during a pretty scary part. This part of the video game scared her so bad that she peed her pants. When her brother saw that she had peed her pants, he started laughing at her and said, "Ha ha, you peed yourself, you're a big baby."
Who are you raising? Sid from Toy Story?
I went in and asked what was the matter and saw my daughter had wet herself. I asked her what happened, and she said that there were scary monsters in the video game her brother was playing, and they were so scary she started to cry. I then comforted her and took her upstairs to calm her down. Later, my husband came home from running an errand and asked what our daughter was so upset about. I explained what happened to him, and he asked what punishment I gave our son. I told him I didn't punish him. This made my husband very upset. He asked why I thought it was okay for our son to bully his sister. I said I didn't think it was a big deal, but he insisted otherwise.
Of course it's a big deal. It's a big, gargantuan, girthy deal.
My husband has been very upset with me since and claims that I should have punished our son right then. But now, since I didn't, he will look like the bad guy if he punishes him for making fun of his sister after I did nothing. AITA. Okay, well, number one, the fact that you didn't even have any sort of hesitation about your son playing such a horrifying video game, and the fact that you didn't even act like it was weird for him to be playing it, tells me that he's been playing these kind of games for a very long time. So that's concerning. And you pair that with the fact that you have to consult Reddit on whether or not to have a conversation with your son about bullying his sister for having a completely normal stress response. You're not just wrong. I worry about your parenting skills. So verdict, you are definitely the a-hole. Okay, there is a little update at the end of this one. She did say that she apologized to her husband, and then she eventually talked to her son about the bullying comment and made the son apologize to the sister, and they made up and they made pancakes, and it was blah blah blah. It was all good stuff. But the concerning part to me was she is very defiant about the video game. She was just like, you know, I see you guys saying that he shouldn't be playing this game. I don't care. He's going to keep playing it. I'm like, oh, okay. It sounds like you're making him play it. She at least backpedaled on not calling her son out and making him apologize. So that's good. AITA for moving into a studio apartment away from my mother-in-law who moved in. I smell a boy mom. Long story short, my boyfriend's mom is poor and had to move into my boyfriend and I's apartment last month because my boyfriend's brother, who lived with her, got them both evicted. He stole her car and wrecked it into their apartment and almost killed someone. Oh.
How do I feel impending doom already? We're 2 sentences in. There's no room for doom.
He's currently in rehab, and before she moved in, I sat down with my boyfriend and laid out the requirements of her living here. She must cut off contact with his brother for his own good and never invite him over, as I'm afraid of him retaliating at our apartment and getting us evicted too. And she should stop enabling him with a constant safety net to continue his drug use. I know that sounds harsh, but it was the only way to actually force him to get help. This has been an almost decade-long battle of her enabling him, and he's not getting any better. Cut to 2 weeks in. I come home from work. My boyfriend and her are laughing about how they took his brother to Golden Corral when I was gone, and he was so high he was nodding off in the food.
Okay, I found some room for doom. A whole buffet of it. God.
His rock bottom is funny. He's struggling. I was so upset that not only did she break the cardinal rule that I set for her, but that my boyfriend went along with it and did it too. I told him I felt betrayed and that she just set a precedent to her that she can do whatever she wants now because any rule set isn't actually going to be enforced, clearly by his example. He told me he did it because he thought it was too harsh after the fact without telling me he had changed his mind and thereby going against our agreement. Okay, well, you know what, dude? You know what? You get it too. I otherwise wouldn't have let her live here rent-free. My boyfriend said putting her on the street was too harsh of a punishment for breaking the rules, but isn't that the point? Now she's telling us we need to do her chores when we pay the rent because she doesn't want to do them, knowing he won't enforce or kick her out because he ultimately can't face the guilt of doing so. He has attachment issues with her and a heavy guilt complex. Our apartment lease is up in a couple of months, and now that we're moving, she asked us, so where are we moving to? Fully expecting a free ride and free rent at our next place. I was so dumbfounded because she is only supposed to be here until she got housing, but low-income housing waiting lists can be months to years long. I don't want to live with her anymore because she walks all over us and causes tension between my boyfriend and I. He will never put her on the street because he's controlled by his guilt. When I asked what he plans to do, he said he isn't taking her to our next place, but that would ultimately leave her on the street, and I know deep down, even if we initially move without her, she will be back in a week or two because he'll feel guilty. I want to move into a studio apartment now, knowing that I don't believe he's going to let her go, and I've voiced this as a real possibility to him, but I'm being framed as trying to dismantle our relationship, AITA. Okay, here's what I'll say. The first demand is perfectly reasonable. This brother has been getting high for 10 years, and now he's driving through folks' 4 years. You know, that's insane. If you break through my wall, you better hand me a refreshment, because you're the Kool-Aid man now. But the second one where she says to throw his mother on the street, I don't know about that one. I know he's way too dependent on her, and she's very toxic and manipulative and a mooch. But putting your parent on the street is a very, very big ask. And I just feel like there's some kind of wiggle room there. There's some kind of compromise there. I don't know what that might be, but there has to be. But I do know that she is under a crazy amount of stress, and I totally get it, especially because this is going on in her sanctuary, her own home. I just know how boy moms are. I grew up with one. I have one in my family. I'm not going to say too much about who it is. You know, I would always hang out with her son, and she would always just be hanging around behind us, hovering like a hummingbird on a honeysuckle. Just, are you guys done socializing? I haven't talked to him in 2 whole minutes. There's a dependency there. You know, and then when the mom acts like this towards her kids, the kids will do whatever the mom wants, and they're going to take their side every single time. So I get the stress. So I will say, verdict, you are not the a-hole. You're not. All right, to hear the next story, you'll need to click the box in the top left-hand corner. They're probably some of the craziest stories that we have read on this channel. All right, that's my time. Toodles.